On my first wedding anniversary, my husband blindsided me with divorce papers, sold my dream apartment behind my back, and ran off to another state with his mistress. He thought I was weak. He thought I would crumble. But I stayed silent, smiling, because in 7 days, I was about to ruin his entire life. I still remember the night before my first wedding anniversary as if it were yesterday. I had spent the entire afternoon preparing a romantic dinner, carefully setting the table with Liam's favorite dishes, arranging fresh roses, and selecting the perfect bottle of wine. I was excited, eager to celebrate our first year together, thinking about how we had built a life side by side. I had even bought him an expensive watch, a symbol of my love and the time I believed we had ahead of us. But when I walked into the apartment that evening, my world collapsed in an instant. The first thing I noticed was the silence. The eerie, suffocating kind, the kind that tells you something is wrong before you even understand why. My heart pounded as I stepped inside, scanning the room. The apartment felt emptier somehow. A sense of unease crawled over me. Then, my eyes landed on a single white envelope on the kitchen counter. My name was written on the front in Liam's familiar handwriting, but something about it felt off. A sinking feeling settled in my chest as I approached it, my hands trembling slightly as I picked it up. My breath hitched as I slid my finger under the seal, dreading what I was about to read. I unfolded the letter and read the first sentence. Then, my knees nearly gave out beneath me. Sophia, by the time you read this, I'll be gone. I'm filing for divorce. I've sold the apartment, and you'll need to find somewhere else to live. I'm moving to Miami with Madison. Don't try to reach me. It's over. For a moment, my brain refused to process the words. It didn't make sense. I read it again, slower this time, as if I had somehow misinterpreted it. But the meaning didn't change. Liam had left me. Not only had he walked away on our anniversary, but he had also sold our home. Our apartment. The place we had spent years working for, decorating, filling with memories. And he had done it for her. Madison. The name felt like poison in my mouth. I had suspected something for months. The late nights, the unexplained trips, the distant look in his eyes when I asked about work. But never, not in my worst nightmares, had I imagined he would do something this cruel. The letter slipped from my fingers and fluttered to the floor. A lump rose in my throat, but I refused to cry. My entire body trembled as an unfamiliar feeling took over me.
Rage. How dare he?
How dare he walk away like this, without a conversation, without a warning, without even the decency to look me in the eyes. I wanted to scream. I wanted to throw everything in the apartment. The plates, the framed pictures, the carefully chosen decor, every single thing that now felt like a lie. But I didn't. Instead, I took a deep breath. Crying wouldn't fix this. Rage wouldn't fix this. But revenge would. I clenched my jaw, my mind shifting into sharp focus. Liam thought he had won. He thought he had outsmarted me. But he didn't know me as well as he thought. I wasn't going to be a victim. My hands were steady as I reached for my phone. There was only one person I knew could help me burn his perfect new life to the ground. Emma. She picked up after 2 rings, her voice groggy from sleep. Sophia? It's late. What's wrong? I took a deep breath, forcing my voice to stay calm. Liam left.
Silence.
Then, Emma's voice sharpened. What do you mean he left?
He's gone.
He moved to Miami with Madison. And I swallowed, the words thick in my throat. He sold the apartment. There was a long pause. Then, Emma's voice turned cold. He did what? He sold our home. He didn't even tell me, just left a letter and disappeared. My nails dug into my palm. I don't even know where to start. A sound of papers rustling came from the other end of the line. Wait a minute, Emma muttered. Sophia, that's not possible. I frowned. What do you mean? Emma exhaled sharply. The deed is in your name. My breath caught. What? Remember when we refinanced the loan last year? You insisted on having the deed transferred solely to your name to secure a lower interest rate. Liam signed off on it without reading the paperwork. I blinked, my pulse racing. I had completely forgotten. Are you saying that he had no legal right to sell it? Which means, Emma let the words sink in. He just committed fraud. A slow smile curled my lips. Liam thought he had won, but he had just made the biggest mistake of his life. How bad is it for him? I asked, my voice steadier now, controlled. Oh, it's bad. Emma chuckled darkly. If he took any money from the buyer, he could be facing a serious lawsuit. Maybe even jail. The satisfaction that ran through me was almost dangerous. Then let's make sure he pays, I said softly. That's exactly what we're going to do, Emma agreed. I'll start the legal process first thing in the morning. But Sophia… Yeah. Emma hesitated. Are you okay? I looked around the apartment, my apartment, the home Liam had tried to steal from me. And for the first time since I read that letter, I knew exactly what I needed to do. I let out a slow breath. I will be. And I meant it. The next morning, I woke up with a new kind of determination. Gone was the woman who had been blindsided by heartbreak the night before. In her place was someone who refused to be defeated. Liam thought he had taken everything from me, but he had no idea that he had left behind the one thing that mattered most: power. As soon as I got out of bed, I dialed Emma. She picked up on the first ring, her voice crisp and alert. I've already started looking into everything, she said before I even spoke. And you're not going to believe what I found. I poured myself a cup of coffee, bracing myself. Go on. Emma exhaled. Liam didn't just sell the apartment illegally. He already spent the deposit money. The buyer wired him a hefty sum, expecting the sale to go through. But since the apartment was never his to sell, the sale is void. I smirked. So, what happens next? He's in a world of trouble, Sophia, Emma said, and I could hear the satisfaction in her voice. He's looking at both civil and criminal charges. Fraud, misrepresentation, and if the buyer pushes for it, he could go to jail. I let those words settle in.
Jail.
I never thought I'd wish something like that on someone I once loved, but after what Liam had done, he deserved everything that was coming. Emma continued, I've already reached out to the buyer and explained the situation. They're furious. They've agreed to file charges against him if he doesn't return the money immediately. I leaned back against the counter, tapping my fingers, which he probably can't do, considering he's already started his new life with Madison in Miami. Exactly, Emma confirmed. And that means he's about to have a very, very bad week. I smiled into my coffee cup.
Good.
But that was only the beginning. Later that day, I met up with Rachel, my best friend, who had been itching to get involved. As a journalist, she had a way of uncovering the truth, especially the kind of truth that destroyed reputations. I slid into the booth at our usual cafe, watching as she stirred her tea with an eager gleam in her eyes. I did some digging, she said casually. And, Sophia, you're going to love this. I arched an eyebrow. Tell me. Liam didn't just cheat on you and commit fraud, she said, lowering her voice slightly. He's in debt. Massive debt. Credit cards maxed out, loans unpaid. He was banking on the money from the apartment sale to keep him afloat. I wasn't surprised, but hearing it confirmed, that was different. Rachel leaned in, her lips curling into a smirk. And guess what? Madison has no idea. I couldn't help but laugh. Of course she didn't. Madison had fallen for the illusion of Liam, the successful real estate agent, the man with charm and confidence. But in reality, he was a fraud in every sense of the word. Rachel tilted her head. So, what do you want to do with this information? I exhaled slowly, my mind already working through possibilities. Let's make sure the world knows exactly who Liam is. Rachel's eyes sparkled. I was hoping you'd say that. That night, I couldn't sleep. Not because of anger or sadness, but because I was planning. I wanted to hit Liam where it hurt the most. His money, his reputation, his ego. Emma was handling the legal side. Rachel was digging into his financial mess. But there was one more thing I needed to do. I had to confront him. 2 days later, I got my chance. I tracked his location through an old shared banking app we had forgotten to unlink. It showed a transaction from a luxury hotel in Miami. It didn't take much effort to figure out where he was staying. So, I booked a flight. The moment I stepped into the hotel lobby, I felt the weight of the moment. The Sophia from a week ago would have crumbled at the thought of seeing him again. But the woman walking through those doors now, she was ready. I spotted him near the bar, laughing with Madison, his arm draped over her shoulder like he hadn't just wrecked my life days ago. My rage simmered beneath the surface, but I kept my expression calm. I walked straight up to them, my heels clicking against the marble floor. Liam's laughter died the second he saw me. His eyes widened. Sophia? Madison looked between us, her perfect smile faltering. Who is this? I crossed my arms, tilting my head. Oh, you didn't tell her, Liam? Madison frowned. Tell me what? I pulled my phone from my bag and held it up. On the screen was a screenshot of the fraud complaint Emma had filed. That your boyfriend here stole money from a real estate transaction and is now facing legal action. Madison's face drained of color.
What?
Liam stiffened. That's not. Oh, it's real. I cut him off. And it's only the beginning. By next week, he'll be making headlines. Madison turned to Liam, anger flashing in her eyes. You told me you were rich. Liam's jaw clenched. Madison, let's go somewhere and talk. Don't bother, I said smoothly. Because once his bank accounts get frozen and he starts drowning in lawsuits, he won't have much left for you. Madison jerked away from him like he was toxic. You're disgusting, she spat before storming off. Liam turned back to me, his expression dark. You think this is funny? I smiled. I think it's justice. He took a step forward, lowering his voice. You can't do this, Sophia. I met his gaze, unwavering. I already did. Then I turned and walked away. Liam called my name, but I didn't look back. Because this time I was the one leaving. As I walked out of that hotel lobby, I didn't feel sadness. I didn't feel regret. I felt something better. A rush of satisfaction spread through me, knowing that for once, Liam was the one losing, not me. For so long, I had believed his lies. I had allowed him to make me feel less than small, insignificant. He had convinced me that I was lucky to have him, that he was the one in control.
But now?
He was the one watching everything he built crumble around him. And the best part? I wasn't even done yet. I took the next flight back to Los Angeles, sitting by the window with a quiet sense of calm washing over me. As the city lights of Miami faded behind me, I thought about Liam. I imagined his face when he realized Madison was gone. When his phone started ringing nonstop with angry clients, legal threats, and reporters asking for comments on the fraud case. By the time I landed, Rachel had already done her part. The second I turned on my phone, the headline was everywhere. Los Angeles real estate agent accused of fraud allegedly sells wife's apartment without her consent. A slow smile spread across my lips as I scrolled through the article. Rachel had exposed everything. The illegal sale, the stolen money, the fraud. She had even included details about his financial collapse, the unpaid loans, the desperate attempts to escape responsibility. It was all over the news. I pictured Liam waking up, seeing his face plastered across headlines, knowing that his entire career was over. Clients dropping him, business contacts cutting him off, people whispering about him in hushed tones. His perfect little Miami fantasy?
Gone.
Just as I was about to call Rachel to thank her, my phone rang.
Emma.
You're not going to believe this, she said as soon as I answered, excitement in her voice. I raised an eyebrow. And Liam just called me. I sat up straighter.
What?
He's panicking, she said, laughing. He's trying to negotiate. Says he's willing to talk things through if we drop the legal action. I smirked. Oh, now he wants to talk. Let me guess, I said. He realized he actually needs money to start a new life, and now he's trying to wiggle his way out of trouble? Exactly, Emma confirmed. But here's the best part. He doesn't have the money to return to the buyer. He already spent most of it, and the rest is locked in his frozen accounts. So that means... I prompted, my pulse picking up in anticipation. It means the fraud charges are sticking. Emma's voice was filled with satisfaction. He's officially in deep legal trouble. And if he can't pay back the money, he's looking at jail time. I let out a breath, feeling something inside me settle. Liam had destroyed my trust, humiliated me, tried to erase me from my own life. He thought he could just walk away and start over.
But now?
He had nowhere left to run. Let him panic, I said calmly. We're not dropping anything. Emma chuckled. That's exactly what I told him. After we hung up, I sat by my apartment window, watching the city skyline. It was strange how light I felt. I had spent so much time carrying the weight of my failed marriage, the betrayal, the heartbreak.
But now?
It wasn't my burden anymore. Liam could deal with the consequences. I was free. The next day, my phone rang again, from an unknown number. I debated ignoring it, but curiosity got the better of me. Hello.
A pause.
Then, a voice I hadn't expected. Madison. I smirked. Didn't expect to hear from you. Her voice was tight-clipped. Yeah, well, I didn't expect to get scammed by my boyfriend either. I almost laughed. Oh, the irony. So, what do you want? I asked, keeping my tone neutral. She hesitated for a moment before asking. I just wanted to know, how much trouble is he really in? I leaned back in my chair, enjoying this far more than I should. Oh, it's bad. Financially? He's ruined. Legally?
He's looking at jail time.
And career-wise?
He's done.
No one's going to work with him after this. There was silence on her end. Then she muttered, Jesus. I hummed. Guess that rich lifestyle he promised you wasn't so real, huh? She let out a bitter laugh.
Yeah.
You could say that. For a moment, I almost felt bad for her. Almost. But then I remembered. She had known Liam was married when she got involved with him. She had willingly helped him break apart my life. So, I didn't offer her sympathy. Instead, I said, you might want to cut ties with him while you still can. Because, once he's behind bars, he's got nothing left to offer you. She exhaled sharply.
Yeah.
I think I already knew that. And with that, she hung up. I stared at my phone for a second, then shook my head. Liam really had lost everything. No apartment. No money. No career. And now, no Madison. Poetic justice. That evening, Rachel came over with a bottle of wine, flopping onto my couch with a satisfied grin. Well, she said, pouring us both a glass. Guess who was spotted arguing with his lawyer in Miami today? I raised an eyebrow. Liam? She nodded. He looked like a mess. Rumor is he's desperate for a way out. But surprise, surprise, he doesn't have one. I took a sip of my wine, relishing every word. So, Rachel asked, tilting her head, how does it feel knowing your ex-husband is about to lose everything? I thought about it for a moment before answering. It feels peaceful. And it did. Not because I had won, but because I had taken back my life. Liam had tried to ruin me, but all he had done was set me free. Rachel raised her glass. To karma. I clinked my glass against hers, feeling lighter than I had in years. Liam had thought he had won. But in the end, I was the one standing. A week later, I got the call I had been waiting for. Emma's voice was filled with satisfaction as she said, It's over, Sophia. Liam's been arrested. I closed my eyes, letting those words sink in. Arrested. I had imagined this moment over and over, but nothing could compare to the satisfaction of hearing it aloud. He was caught trying to leave Miami, Emma continued. The buyer officially filed charges, and with the fraud complaint we submitted, there was no way out. He was taken into custody this morning. I leaned back on my couch, a slow smile spreading across my face. How long is he looking at? Emma sighed. At least a couple of years if the prosecution pushes for it. And with his financial history, he won't be able to pay his way out of this one. I let out a breath, feeling the last bit of weight lift off my chest. Liam was finally facing the consequences of his actions. Are you going to see him before he goes in? Emma asked. I thought about it, about what I would even say to him. But the truth was, I had nothing left to say. Liam wasn't worth another second of my time. No, I said firmly. I'm done. And I meant it. Over the next few days, everything fell into place. Liam's career was officially destroyed. His former clients wanted nothing to do with him. His reputation was gone. The bank repossessed his assets, leaving him penniless. And Madison? She disappeared the second he was arrested. I found out later that she had posted a dramatic video on social media about being deceived and not knowing the real Liam. The comments were brutal, calling her out for knowingly getting involved with a married man. She had lost, too. Meanwhile, I was thriving. My apartment, which Liam had tried to steal from me, was finally mine again. I redecorated, getting rid of every trace of him. His ugly furniture, his tacky sports memorabilia, even the expensive espresso machine he had insisted on. All of it was gone. For the first time in a long time, my home felt like my own. One evening, Rachel came over with a bottle of wine, flopping onto my couch. "So," she said with a smirk, "how does it feel knowing your ex-husband is sitting in a jail cell right now?" I thought about it for a second before answering. It feels peaceful. And it did. Not because I had won, but because I had taken back my life. Liam had tried to ruin me, but all he had done was set me free. Rachel raised her glass. To fresh starts. I clinked my glass against hers, smiling. To never letting a man like Liam fool me again. The next morning, I woke up to a text from an unknown number. I hesitated before opening it. It was from Liam. "Sophia.
Please.
I screwed up. I know that. I need your help." I stared at the message, waiting for the anger to come. But all I felt was pity. Liam, the man who once thought he was untouchable, was now begging me. I deleted the message without replying. He wasn't my problem anymore. A month later, my divorce was finalized. It was a clean break. No drawn-out court battles, no fighting over assets. Liam had nothing left to fight for. I signed the papers with a smile, knowing that this wasn't just the end of a marriage. It was the beginning of my new life. And for the first time in years, I felt truly, completely free.